Hey guys, it's me. It's Queen Osset Haru. And thank you for joining me for another wonderful edition of Ask an Aquarius. If you haven't already, please hit the red subscribe button and smack the bell. Alright guys, it's good to see you. So listen, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and pass it on to somebody else who might like it as well. Also, could you please, if you have time, give us a comment in the comment section about today's therapeutic technique. Okay, this is one I made up. Somebody else might have thought of it before me. I'm not sure though. I've never seen it anywhere else. But I made up this technique for Aquarius. Anybody can use it, but I made it up specifically for us because we often have issues with identifying and understanding our feelings. So I have a number of therapeutic kind of exercises that I do with myself, and this is one that I actually made up from doing other ones for years and years and years. I had a lot of success with therapy, and I've seen a lot of other people too, and I've had a lot of success with using spiritual, borderline, emotional healing type stuff. So I love using these kind of things. And whenever I'm going through another emotional process or growing from something, a lot of times I use most of the techniques that I've learned and the ones that I've made up. So I just wanted to share this one with you because it's easy. It's really easy. And if you're somebody who has a hard time understanding your emotions, especially if you're Aquarius, this could be very helpful. The only thing you need to be able to do this is, number one, some time. Number two, some space. But nobody is going to be bothering you. Nobody's around. Nobody's going to hear you. Okay? So time, space, some quiet, a book, a pen. If you don't want to use a book and a pen, you can use a recorder for this one. This one is called Interview Your Feelings. So I'm going to teach you how to do the technique, and I'm going to explain how I used it today, as a matter of fact, and dealt with some emotion. So many of you may get something from it. If you do, please use it. If you don't, then that's fine too. There's many other techniques on the market. All right. Let's get started. I'll explain to you. So the interviewing your feelings technique, this is how it is. It's pretty much how it sounds. You basically come to a space such as your living room, and you get a chair, and you put the chair in front of you, and you sit on the other chair opposite. So you're facing the person as if you're facing the chair as if you're interviewing a person. Okay, so you sit there, and you can use a pen and paper, or you can use a recorder. Sometimes I like to use pen and paper, like the old-fashioned recorders used to use, and probably some still do. But that's what I remember from being a kid, Columbo, and all of them had those little pads and they would jot little notes on them. So I like to use a booklet or something. And you sit there, and the first thing you want to do is relax. You want to close your eyes, you want to breathe, you want to relax. Take like 20 deep breaths, really calm yourself down. And you want to get in tune with your feelings. This is why you need to be alone, and it needs to be quiet. Nobody needs to be home, or nobody's going to bother you. Turn your phone off. Every distraction, every possible distraction needs to be neutralized so you can basically go on this inner journey. Okay? So you sit on the couch, or you sit in your chair, whatever, you sit on your bed. You have the chair in front of you. You're closing your eyes. You're getting in tune with your feelings. It's easier to see your feelings when your eyes are closed, especially as an Aquarius. So just quiet yourself down and just sit there and feel. And people are like, what do you mean? I'm like, just sit there and allow yourself to just feel. Feel what's going on. Feel the temperature of the room. Feel where your hands are. Just feel things. And start feeling inside yourself. What feelings are in you? Are you bored? Are you hungry? Start identifying what feelings you're feeling. And in the dark behind your eyes, it'd be a little bit easier. So get really in tune with your feelings. And when you come to one, any feeling, frustration, anger, sadness, whatever the feeling is, that's the first one you want to work with. You want to work with one feeling at a time, okay? So you identify the feeling, ask the feeling for its name. Its name should be a feeling: grief, sorrow, happiness, frustration, contentment. It should have a name. So ask it for its name. And in my case, the feeling was grief. So I wrote down grief. Then it says, imagine what grief looks like. Give it a person, a personification. For me, mine always look like me in different stages. You know, if I'm happy, I look great. If I'm not, I might not. They're all a little bit different. So grief looked like me, but she had like dried mascara running down her face. Like she'd been crying and her mascara had ran down her face, and her locks were all over her head. And she had on like a funky bathrobe, you know, and like pajamas underneath it, which I don't even wear pajamas. I don't know why I thought of that. But she had a funky bathrobe, pajamas, and slippers on. And she was like rocking and looking around. And she was clearly very agitated and uncomfortable and anxious. And she would burst into tears and then stop crying. You know, she was very just out there, you know, in her pain. So she sat in the chair. So I'm just looking at her. I'm looking at my personification of grief, and I'm like, wow, this poor child. That's all I kept thinking, was like, wow. And then I started to ask her questions. I started to interview her. So I said to her, why are you here? And she didn't answer. She was just kind of fidgeting and like shaking and looking around. And I was like, can you tell me why you're here? And she said, I don't know. I don't know why I'm here. And I'm like, okay, it wasn't what I was expecting. You have to have an imagination to do this. So you don't know what's going to come up. So that's what came up. I don't know. And I was like, okay, all right. And I said, why? Why don't you know what's going on with you? And mind you, you can ask any questions you want, but these are the ones that I asked. You can ask your grief, whatever you want to ask it. You can ask your sorrow, whatever the emotion is that sits in that chair, you can ask it whatever you want. But these are the questions I ask. So she said, I don't know. I know I'm scared and confused. And I was like, okay. And I said, so to move past you, what do I need to do? And she said, I need reassurance. And I said, reassurance of what? And she said, I need reassurance that everything is okay. And I was like, okay. And in this instance, and this, you know, different things will happen as you're interviewing your grief. Different things will occur. You just let your mind go with it and, you know, get in touch with your grief. And I sat forward, and mind you, my eyes are closed, and in my mind's eye, I sat forward and I hugged her. And I was like, it's okay. It's okay. You can let it go. It's okay. And I just hugged her and I patted her on her back, and I was like, and I didn't rush. Like I didn't like hurry up and do this real quick. I like, you know, in my mind, I was like, you know, really hugging this person and feeling, you know, this energy and sadness and sorrow and, like I said, grief. And after a while, she started to get smaller, like the energy started getting smaller, like she was shrinking. And I found myself like this. And I opened my eyes and looked around, and I was like, she's gone. So it's always different, you know, the way it plays out, because your mind is different. Your image was in your mind is different. But the idea is to identify what the grief is and find out why it's there and what you need to do to heal it. And for me, because I've done this 1,000 times, this exercise is quick, you know, but it might take you a long time. It might take you multiple tries. You might sit there the first time and be like, oh, this is silly. I can't think of what grief looks like, or I can't think of what my frustration looks like. You know, it might be hard for some people, especially people who lack imagination. I found that people who lack imagination have a hard time with visualizations like this. And, even with meditation sometimes, because it's hard for them to imagine the things that you need to see in your mind and respond to, you know? And this kind of activity is it's just a regular, like I said, a therapeutic activity that I made up because I always found myself not certain of my feelings. And I'm like, okay, let me sit here and try to ask myself. And that's what I'm really doing, is asking myself to show me what is going on in here, you know? So I did that one today, and actually I really enjoyed it. It came out really good because I wasn't feeling good when I woke up. My cycle had started. Y'all know yesterday I was going through changes, and this morning I was like, it's gonna be another one of those days. But after I did this exercise, I started to feel a lot better. So I'm glad I made this up and I pulled it out. So if any of you can benefit for the interviewing your grief exercise, please do. Again, you only asking it 3 questions after you go through the steps that I label. You're only really asking 3 questions. Why are you here? And depending upon what they say, you respond to it. What do I need to do to move past you? Or what do I need to do to heal you? Could be another way to put that question. And I always, if the energy doesn't leave, I always ask it to leave. If it's something that I don't want to deal with. For instance, if it's sadness or hurt and it's time for it to leave, I do ask it to leave. If it's happiness, or if it comes back and says something like fear might be the emotion, I would tell fear, like I might be scared, but I'm gonna push past you. You know, I treat it, like I said in this exercise, like a person. And I see the person as me. And the reason why I treat the feeling as me is because you're going to respond differently if the feeling is you. You're going to respond differently to yourself. You might have more compassion for yourself, you know? So you're going to respond differently if it's yourself. Now, you don't have to do that. The way that I did it before, the feeling could be anything. It could be a black mass. It could be anything really that you in your mind think of it. But that's what I've had the most success with. And so if it doesn't leave, I generally ask it to leave. And then there may be other emotions. So sometimes, in this case, I only had one. But sometimes it's more than one. So you sit and go through the whole process for each emotion until you've dispelled them all. That's why I said sometimes it can take a long time. And sometimes it takes more than one try. So you might try it today and get nothing. Try it again in a week and get a little something, you know? Try it again, try it again, try it again. So theoretically speaking, you can try it whenever you want to. So I wanted to give that to you. That's my gift to you guys, because I thought that some of you, especially some of my Aquarius or some people who have a hard time with their emotions like I do. I have a hard time with them. When I have to deal with them, I feel like the wind was knocked out of me yesterday, you know? When I first started dealing with this forgiveness thing I'm doing this week, I felt like the wind was literally knocked out of me. So for Aquarius, it's not easy. So this is something that can possibly be helpful if you choose to use it. Okay, guys? All right. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming by. Thank you for listening. I shouldn't say thank you for coming. Thank you for watching. That sounds a lot better. Thank you for watching. And if you would like to get a reading done, please email me and I will give you an appointment. My first opening for a reading is October 21st. I am booked until then. So if you want to get a reading, it's going to have to be October 21st or after. I only have, that's it. That's basically it. So also, if you would like to send me a gift, I have my gift information underneath here. My Amazon wish list is under there. If you would like to send me a donation, all donations are always appreciated. My PayPal is underneath here. If you would like to hit me up on social media, all of my social media is going to be under here. And please come back soon, because I have a lot, a whole lot more to say. See you later.